Hey, what is going on Facebook? How is everybody doing? Hopefully you're having a good one so far. It is Friday, guys, so you know what that means, right? It's another episode of Millennial with Billy and Mel. Guys, what we're going to be talking about today is telework it, right? Or working remotely or working from home, whatever you want to call it. We're all doing it, right? Because of just stuff that's going on in the world. So it's just stuff that we have to do. But anyways, before we get into all that, right, definitely let's take a time to introduce the other person in the room, right? Mel, what is going on? How are you doing? How is life?
Hey guys, it's Mel. Life is great. I was actually debating on teleworking from the hospital this morning. I was there this morning seeing my sister. It was her birthday yesterday. Thank you so much to everyone who's watching this who sent cards and those that aren't watching. But she got a little tired there, and I was debating on sneaking somewhere to telework and film this live. I thought it would be great, but headed home, and instead I'm teleworking in the kitchen.
There you go. I'm teleworking in the basement, and so I'll get into that why I'm down in the basement, right? Because obviously I have a wife; she's working from home too. But guys, if you're watching this right now, right? If you're hanging out with us today, please make sure you put in the comment section where you're coming in from, who you are. We'd love to give you a shout out. And if you're going to be watching the replay or anything like that, please make sure you do the same thing. And also comment, guys. We want to see what you're saying. We want to kind of get your thoughts here. The show goes a lot better when we have some interaction, right? We love that. So let's get right into it, right? Let's get into our topic today. And so obviously, right, we're all working from home just because of COVID and those types of things. But and me and Mel already kind of work from home, but we're going to give you kind of just our experience so far, and then we'll get into some other topics here along the way. So Mel, tell them a little bit, obviously, like what's your experience been like? Now that we're a couple months into this thing, right? How are you feeling? Has anything really changed for you?
A little bit. I actually ended up finishing a little bit of an office workspace that I'll post some pictures. That's where I had been last live, and I thought I'd switch it up and be in the kitchen. And it's more natural light here anyway for the podcast. But for me, it's no different. I usually work from home. I just was sitting at the kitchen island or the dining room table until I actually created that workspace. So that really helped during COVID and the shutdown, that I decided to make that space for me. And I think that organization and having a workspace made me a lot more productive. I just think I have indoor plants now, and I decorated it. And it's a space that I can feel I'm dedicating just to work from there. But I'm used to it. I had a home studio in my apartment. I used to have a retail shop, so I would work from there, and I would also work from home nights and weekends. So I've been doing this since I started my business in 2006, just working from anywhere I can. And that was really one of my goals, was to be able to work from anywhere so that I can travel and do things outside of just the confines of a 9 to 5.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I feel the same way. Like a lot of what I do anyways was already a lot of remote based stuff because I have clients in other states, right? Like I'm sure you have a couple clients in the other states and whatnot. So this was kind of just the norm for me as well. And so it's been interesting to see maybe some of the guys and gals in the office try to figure out this world because they're so used to meeting face to face. And I don't think this will ever take place of face to face, but this is going to be a nice added bonus. And so it's made networking a heck of a lot easier for me, from a standpoint of not having to drive to coffee shop to Starbucks to Starbucks, right? To meet people,
Right.
you can get a lot of meetings in, and so we'll definitely talk about some of those stuff. But let's get right into it. So I know some of the biggest things that I deal with on a daily basis when working from home, right, is distractions, right? I mean, I think we all, and distractions come in many, many forms, to say the
like
least.
Squirrel. That's me. I mean, I'm distracted, anywhere, let alone at home. But
yeah, and it's like crazy because it's like the TV's there, right? And like
Right.
you're like, oh, I want to take a break, and you're on your lunch break, right? I actually put in 30 minutes for lunch at home to
Yes.
kind of stay on a schedule. But you get there, you start watching TV, and all of a sudden an episode goes by, and then you're sitting there for an hour. And so,
I don't watch. I actually, this is really funny. I don't watch much TV. We have a couple of Netflix shows that we watch sometimes on the weekends, but because I'm here by myself during the week, I work just pretty much all night. If I have to, I'm on the computer. And what's funny about the TV? Yeah, I don't watch a lot of TV. That's not a distraction for me. But what is cleaning up, is laundry, is things that I want to do around the house. I go outside, I water the plants, and then again, I go off. I'm in the garage and I'm moving things around, and it's hard because there's those little projects that you want to get done, and how do you just sit and you're not in that office setting that you're have a boss and someone's watching you and you have to be there and you're in and out and you have the lunch, like you said. Before we started this, right, I said, I'm hungry. I need to get something to eat. 3 steps away is my refrigerator, right? And all my food. And I'm looking and, I feel like I'm not really on a set food schedule, for meals, because my days are a little different here and there, but that's a distraction is eating and food, and I'm bored, or
Yeah.
There's a lot of different distractions, sure.
Oh yeah, just to name one, my wife and our next door neighbor decided that they were going to get some chickens. So now we have baby chicks. So
You have
another
chicks.
distraction.
You have chicks. We'll have to tell Flora and Carrie, our from chick to chick, that we have chicks too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's another distraction. But for me, like a big part of my life is sports. And so obviously with all this happening, sports has been kind of like put on the back burner. So, like I'll tend to, like, when I say TV now, if I'm going to put the TV on, it's either going to be something, I try to do something that's like work related, like put it on some kind of like stock channel or something like that where it's playing in the background. So it's least I can be like, well, I'm kind of keeping up with what's going
so
on.
Maybe have like Sports Center. I mean, I even used to have something on in the background just to have it on too.
Like noise, background noise, right?
Yeah, and I think people that are into sports and I think having that, the Sports Center on, I think that's definitely something neat. But I've had to do this for a while. It's not technically new. I've been dealing with distractions for a long time, so maybe I just have better practice with it. But I still. It's still hard. But
what about this? This thought just ran through my mind. So do you think people are almost having like anxiety? Because if you think about it, like if somebody works in an office, right, they have people, there's noise, there's clicking, there's people walking around. And so when they're at home working, if they don't have kids, or like the kids are doing something else outside, and it's like, sometimes like you're in your house, like if you're reading a book and it's just eerily quiet. Like
it's too quiet.
That can almost be a distraction where it's just too quiet, right?
Definitely. I think that little things here and there get your attention, and you start to get distracted too. But for sure, I think that anything that's different from what you're used to, I think is going to be, you have to adapt to that. But I get distracted even with George. He's not here this week with me, but so I don't have any distractions at all. No kids, but I have tons of friends that do, and obviously they've had issues with both parents kind of taking the roles and splitting that time up so that the parents can work and or do personal things that they want to do. But George, he wants a lot of attention, and he wants to be pet. And he likes to be, in the mix. So obviously it's not just getting him fed and taking him in, if he wants to go in and out, he rings his bell. But, sometimes he'll come in and just lay down, and I want to just relax too.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, man, that looks so much fun, right? Like, cause we have 2 dogs, and it's like, one dog is like not very like oriented, right? They need that attention all the time. And so it's interesting, even like that could be a distraction. And I
Right.
mean, you know, even if you're living with somebody, right, that could be a definite distraction. And I know for
Right.
me,
Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, I was gonna say, go ahead.
If they're working, they're not working. You know, if
Yeah.
your schedules are different depending on what you do, then if one person's working and the other one's not, it's going to be hard to get motivated to work sometimes on different routines and schedules.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, you know, I definitely struggle with the sense of, you know, with the wife working. Uh-oh, did we lose you? Mel, you there?
I'm here.
Can you hear me?
My
I think I lost your sound.
AirPods died.
I'll
I'm gonna go back to
until you come back. I'll just listen. We're working from home, guys.
I can hear you.
Definitely, it's always an interesting thing. But for me, working home with my wife, right, is definitely a challenge because of the sense of, you know, we're both working from home. We're home all the time, and that now we have to find our own spaces, right, to be kind of involved. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? I'm here.
I can kind of hear you.
I took my AirPods off.
You're very faint. Oh, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I love the power of technology, guys.
It's always something.
It's always interesting.
Okay.
Hold on, let me try this. I can see you on my.
I'm chatting on the back. I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Because I can't hear you.
Yeah, I just took my. I think everybody can hear me. Maybe somebody can comment. Can you hear me yelling?
It's like cutting in and out.
That's okay.
That's weird.
You keep talking. I think it was his feed. That's what it must be. He must be having some tech issues. There we go. Maybe it was your feed.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I said you must have been having some tech issues there. I think it might have been both of us here. This is like these are the you know, trials and tribulations of teleworking.
Yes. So I luckily I had something else up, so I was able to make a quick switch. So that's good. So, but I think I was talking about my wife, right? Yes, I was talking about just working home from that aspect and having to deal with, you know, her schedule versus my schedule. And also, I think a big distraction that could be, especially when you're working from home and you have somebody with you, right, is the simple fact they might be have different schedules and want to go do something fun where you have to sit home and work, right? So that's another distraction.
That's hard, and I think that during COVID and the shutdown right now, we're talking about so much different than pre-COVID, right? Like we've worked from home. We've been able to do coffee shops and things that honestly we can't do, you know, really do that. We couldn't, at least for a little bit. But I think that a lot of people are going to be experiencing that one, but instead of both people who were working in an office or outside of the home, maybe it was an office, maybe the hospital, or they were in sales and on the road. But now maybe they're both at home or they're home more, and one of them might have to go into the office. One of them might not. I mean, you're right. I think it's finding that balance and how you can still have your time to work and make sure that you're motivated and staying, you know, not distracted just because somebody else. It's self-discipline, which I've struggled with for a long time. Like I said, I mean, just it's something I'm so used to, and I get better with different things, but it's always an issue.
Yeah, I mean, that, and like I said, time management
Exactly.
has
Yeah.
probably been my biggest thing. Is just, when I was going into the office, I kind of had like that set routine. And then I think that's the big thing too, is that it's really thrown people off their routine, because simple fact, you cannot separate work from life as quickly as you once did. When you're driving home, right, you've separated yourself from work that day as best you could. But,
Right.
I think that's a real challenge for people, separating work from life now, or normal life.
Right. And I think that especially people who have children too, that the difficulty of getting through the work agenda during the day and having to still be the stay-at-home parent. I think a lot of people are ending up having to do things at night, I'm sure, that they can't get done during the day. So maybe after the kids go to sleep, but I end up having to do things too things come up. Luckily I can work from home, but there's some people that can't. But I just printed these out. I know they're so cheesy, but it's literally just the blank calendars. I Google like July, and I printed out for the rest of the year, because what I really wanted to do was to try to get myself organized through this shutdown. I have gotten a lot of things done that I've needed to do for a year, 2 years, 3 years, just even just making plans and making goals. But I printed these out, and why I did that was I was going to do one for a social media schedule, just so that I could actually set some ideas in what weeks and what days that I want to post for my business and for the podcast. And then also I put down that I'm blocking out time. So I'm saying next week I'm doing this for 3 days. And I then go and I have it just visually so that I can see it. But what I also do, I have on my desk, which again, I'll show some pictures. I have just a little calendar that I do for the day, and I write down my to-do list and it's in order of the things that I need to do. And then I don't overload myself, but I have another list of things that obviously that are like ongoing that I have to get done. And then I just bought another one because I was actually going to start putting some other things specific things that I want to do. So these are some really great ways that I found for myself. And time management is making to-do lists and almost categorizing them, I guess, if that makes any sense. Like making broad spectrum ones, like, hey, next week I really need to get, there was a time weeks ago where I was still working on my taxes. So I said, hey, I'm doing my taxes this week, but I didn't set an actual day or time. But then I used these little things and I said, okay, from 8 to 10 a.m. I'm doing this. And of course, stuff comes up, things change. Hey, I need this printed. Hey, I need this designed, So there's a lot of things that I deal with the changing, even you and I mean, we plan to do things and then things come up. But yeah, I mean, I think time management is crucial for doing things at home, whether we're used to it or not. I think that getting some calendars and making to-do lists really help.
Yeah.
Do you use to-do lists and calendars?
I do a to-do list, but I do it in a little different way. Usually, so every day in my schedule, at 9 o'clock, I pick 9 o'clock at night to set up my day, the next day for success. So, at least seeing what are important things that need to get done that day. Because I think like you said, you got to categorize what needs to be done like now, versus what still needs to be done, but maybe can be pushed off a little bit. I also think too, like, as far as like time management, like, there's really I feel like there's two types of people. I feel like there's the people that like don't do it and the people that obviously do it, but then the people that don't do it try to go to the extreme of like they plan out every second of the day. And
what are you saying about me?
you just can't do that. That is impossible.
No.
Because like you said, things are going to come up and you're going to have to make a shift. But I think, planning very, important things, like obviously, like we have I have, blocked out at 12 o'clock every Friday is this, right? And so the important things you want to make sure you have blocked out. I am not a big calendar person. Like I don't have like one of those. Like I use the one that's on my phone.
Right.
I have lots of alerts. The wife, on the other hand, has a dry erase board calendar. She's got one in the office. She's got a written one. She uses her.
I still have the one on my computer and my phone that syncs up too. Like, don't get me wrong, I still have that, but everyone's different. Everyone has what works for them. I like to cross off things. I like to see it and I like to say done.
Yeah. Something I have been doing is I usually have things in different colors on my calendar that signify different things. Like if it's something super important, it's in red, right? It needs to get done. It is dire need. But I think, like you said, you also need to schedule time to eat, right? You need to schedule time for yourself. Maybe that's working out, right? Maybe that, like, I think if you try to keep your day as close to what you had pre-COVID, but obviously make some changes, I think that will help with some of the anxiety of like people maybe not getting as much work done. Some people aren't maybe as productive at home because of the sense of that it's their home.
Right.
I think we got a comment here, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Google Calendar. Mm-hmm.
I love the Google Calendar. Definitely. Separating those topics, but being able to see it from a mobile view.
Right. And you can do reminders and alerts, and I do those too. I have to have many different ways, I feel, to keep me organized here. But yeah, it however it works for, I think for everyone different.
But like, I think too, like so many of us were starting our own businesses that I feel like I feel bad for people that started their businesses in 2020. They really had to like kind of make a lot of pivots, right? They probably had a lot of this stuff set and were like, oh, I got my daily routine down. And then boom, 2 months into it, it's completely changed. So I think that's the biggest thing that, people have to kind of get past, is that they're going to have to change the way they do things.
Right.
And that's what, going back to the whole working from home, like having meetings. I remember, I think when we were talking about the list of 31 interesting things about millennials, one of the things is that we love to collaborate. And so it's a completely different level of collaboration now. People are getting real kind of creative in their collaboration, whether it be via Zoom or whatever thing you're using these days to get the job done. But what do you think about how it's affected people collaborating?
I think that there's a lot of things interesting about virtual teleworking, collaborating, whatever you want to call it. I think that there's so many different platforms like StreamYard here, Zoom. I actually saw something, Adobe product, Adobe Connect. That was a different thing that I just saw. Harrisburg University did a presentation and I had signed up for it. Unfortunately, I was teleworking from the hospital room with my sister. It was a webinar, that's what it was. And they had 3 creative professionals and somebody at Harrisburg University and a couple moderators were interviewing them. And I really was interested in watching it. And I couldn't log into Adobe Connect. And here I am, an Adobe.
Yeah.
And it was really hard. I couldn't hear it. Unfortunately, I went back and watched a little bit and I still want to watch some of it. But that is an example of me being able to watch something that I normally wouldn't have been able to go to see right now, but also these people were in California and New York, and they were bringing those people together for a webinar that you saw some webinars, I feel like, before this. I've seen some of them because it's people from out of state, and it was just more trying to connect with other people in the country or even in the world, obviously. But I think that us being able to watch and be involved in those kind of things is going to really progress in the future. I have a client that we're looking at doing some things like that for the dentist office, in doing some virtual events or parties or things like that. So definitely going to see a lot more of ways that you can pull in different aspects of things that were usually in person and doing them virtually, not just me and you having a meeting. We're talking about events, interviews, things like that, whether they're live or not. These are things that we could do with somebody across the river right now, or, across the ocean. So it's opening up the possibilities, I think, for sure, that we've seen a glimpse of it with the people who are creatively coming up with it. But I think each time we see things, it's going to continue to give more and more ideas for people to adapt, and for sure.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking about it, because we're really just talking from a business sense and a personal sense and stuff like that. And we had mentioned kids, right? But it's all in the news, and it's school from home, right? So not only do parents, because I'm not a parent yet, but not only do parents have to deal with just working from home, but now they also have to take into consideration school will be from home most this year, right?
Yeah, I can't imagine myself right now having children and working from home. The amount of work that I do already without children, I can't imagine doing it with. And I praise the people who do it and, work, whether it's from home or not. But I think that it's really adapting, finding creative ways for them to get their work done. But the school situation is interesting. It's an added stress for them that they've had to already work from home and change their schedule and create a new routine for themselves and for the children, personally and professionally for them. And then here they're going to have to change it all again, because who knows if they're going to go to school. You see that it's full time, then some of it's, they can split their time, and some of it's online. And, I definitely would love to hear some of the perspectives from our millennials at home, millennial mom and dads that are working, for sure, because we don't have that personal experience. But it'll be interesting to see how that even changes again, and new routines that have to be created in the fall for parents too.
Yeah. And you hit the nail on the head too. Guys, if you're watching this, and we definitely want to know some of your biggest challenges in dealing with working from home, working with your spouse or your partner, whatever that might be. Let us know in the comment section. We would love to see some of those as well. So let's kind of get into where we see the future of all this, right? Where we see networking, where we see, school, even medical stuff, right? Where this is all kind of going. Because
telehealth. A lot of people are doing telehealth appointments right now.
Yeah. I've done that. It's for just normal stuff, it's fine, obviously. But I think it was always kind of a thing. You're I can do it, but I'd rather just go see a doctor. But I think it's going to be so much more the norm when it comes to the medical field, and then as far as business, it's technology is a great thing. And I still love meeting people face to face, but like I said, the ability to network and literally set a meeting at 10 o'clock, then at 11, then at 12, and then at 1, and never have to leave.
I did it yesterday. I did it yesterday. I had, no lie, I think it was 10:30 to 11. I had a call at 11:15. And then I had my networking group, my little tip group that I'm in every Thursday, 11:30 to 12:30. And then I have a weekly 1 o'clock to about 3 o'clock Zoom work call for one of my clients every Tuesday and Thursday. So it was a lot of back to back, but it makes you also manage the time that you need to get the stuff done beforehand and after too. There's not much time in between. Some of it I can do while I'm in my networking group. I can still get a couple things done because it's muted and you're listening to them, but I did it, and I think more people are gonna do it too. Are you in the any of the chambers, any of the networking groups that I know Mechanicsburg Chamber was doing some virtual things. Have you seen any of the networking groups that are doing?
Actually, the networking group I'm part of, we actually shifted completely over to networking via Zoom. I've been to a couple of they're interesting networking events, like an event that like you just would go have like a beer and then like talk to a few people and leave. Right? I did that. Those are a little awkward.
Oh, you guys all just drinking by yourself? You get your beer?
But it's not like at a networking event where I could just literally walk up to you, have a conversation, and no one else is going to hear the conversation. It's like you're talking to the entire room rather than just like talking to an individual.
Right. Everyone's watching you.
Yeah. You're like, hi, I'm Billy. And everybody's like, hey, Billy. It's like you're in a meeting of some kind.
But it's good exposure. I would think that if, instead of just talking to one or two people when you go to those events in person, sometimes you find that you only talk to the people that you know, or you only talk to a handful of people. But at least with that, it sounds like everyone can hear a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes it more efficient because like when you go to those networking events, right, and you walk in and you're like, I'm going to talk to I'm going to try to because when I go to a networking event, I don't know how you feel, like I want to be in and out like hour. Like I don't want to be there the entire event. Yeah. Right. I want to talk to like a couple people, get in, get out. And so for me, like I think it just definitely makes it more efficient that you don't have to kind of deal with all that. But I also think on another note, I think it's gonna be interesting to see how many businesses just stop having a brick and mortar business.
Right.
Like, I wonder what's going to happen to the commercial real estate. Right. I think we're going to see a lot of buildings come up.
There will be, and we've talked about this a little bit, and that a lot of people don't need an office anymore, or they can't afford it. Well, whether both. But I was just at the bank the other day, and I was switching over. I got an LLC finally for me after 14 years. So I had to update my account, and I wanted to open a new account for the wedding yard sale event that I do also. And they actually were one or two people weren't there, so they were a little short-staffed. But what they said was they started doing electronic signature forms. Are you okay with just us emailing you them, signing? And I said, yeah, that's great. I don't need to stick around. And I left the next day. They did it. And when I was talking to the teller, he said, yeah, there's so many people that are doing this with us, whether it's business or personal. And we think we might continue to do the accounts this way. And, not that it affects, the bank will still be there. But we started chatting about some of the businesses that might not need to have an actual space anymore to meet with people if they are able and efficiently and successfully, still running their business and keeping that relationship, I think, with the customers that's not in person, for sure.
Yeah, no, it is like you said, all the DocuSign stuff that they have now. I mean, in my industry, we're in a highly regulated industry, just like the banking industry, and a lot of the stuff you have to have signatures, you have to have, all the stuff to say, hey, this is a good account for me to open. And so it's great for me because I was already working, like I said, like this, but I think it's forcing a lot of businesses to say, yes, we need to make a shift, and we need to give our people who are on the ground the ability to do business quicker. Right. And so having the ability to share my screen with somebody, but then also giving them the ability to have access so that they could sign things, right? And so
Right.
we need to be in the same place at the same time. So
Right. You made a good point too, because I'm able to share my screen with my customers as I'm showing them their designs, and they actually can see it real time, me moving things around, and they love it. They love sitting next to me anyway and watching it, but I don't work well that way.
Yes.
I work better on my own when I'm in the zone, and so sometimes it's easy to make a few changes with somebody, but it's really neat just to pull it up, show them what I'm doing, move some things around, and they feel like they're a part of the process, which they are, but they actually can see it. And I think, a lot of millennials are excited about the working from home part of it because of the work-life balance. And I think, we enjoy the fact that we can be flexible and make our own hours and contribute when we are at our best during the day. I think we talked about that before in a different podcast. So it'll be something interesting to see how many people continue to work from home because their job and their bosses allow it, but also other people who maybe just pursue something that they can, work from home. I don't know, but my tips would be the time management and the organization too of getting into a routine and making sure that you have that time that you're blocking off. Jason Clock, actually from Clock Entertainment, told me, and this is not plugging his business, but maybe a little bit, but we've met so many times about certain little things. And he had said to me one day that he blocks off certain days. It's like a blackout, and he turns off phone, email, social media, and he just straight works. He has no distractions. He turns it off. And I actually started doing that. Last week, I got really busy, even one day this week, and I had to do 3 hours worth of work in like 30 minutes, okay? And I didn't want any distractions. Turned my email off, put my phone somewhere else, or did something. And I got so much done. So thank you, Jason.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, my tips are along the same lines, but, take it one step further. I take one day a week where I don't do anything. Like I don't on a Saturday or a Sunday. It's typically a Saturday, and I spend time with that's family time. So spend time with my wife. I build in time during my week to spend time with her, to actively because people will just sit on the couch and say they're watch TV together and they spent time together. No, they didn't. They just sat in the same place at the same time. So trying to actively do stuff with her. But Saturday, I tell clients, I tell my friend, everybody hey, unless the house is on fire or something catastrophic has happened, you're probably not going to get a hold of me. And I think that's a big thing is because I'm such a big proponent of separating work from life. And when you're an entrepreneur, B, you're working from home, that can be really tough to do.
It is.
And really be able to charge your batteries because as well as I do, you can only give so much, in your everyday life. You can only give so much to your clients. You can only give so much to your family. Mm-hmm. You have to take that time to separate those two.
Definitely.
So I think, they'll call it work-life balance, but I'm going to call it separation, right?
Yeah.
Separating the sides of your brain, the business sense.
And I think that, we're saying to be able to turn it off. Some people can't really turn it off. Let's just say, I mean, there's times where you have to be on call available for emergency situations. But I think that there's a point where you have to mentally say, this time is family time. This time is relationship time. This time is, it doesn't have to be set, but I think that you want to make sure that you're fulfilling the needs of your family and your spouse and yourself, that you can make that time and set it and stick to it too.
Yeah. And one other tip I forgot I had written down, but I also set benchmarks for each day. So I'm going to accomplish this benchmark, this benchmark, this benchmark in every aspect of my life. And even if something terribly goes wrong that day, you feel like none of the clients that you were talking to went the right way, right? You just stuff didn't go right. You can at least look back and say, well, hey, it was a productive day. I still accomplished these things.
Right.
That was either, hey, move your business forward, move your personal life forward, your health, whatever it might be. But, kind of, I like to set those benchmarks, and, maybe it's working out for 30 minutes, right? For each day. I don't know what it is, but for you, but that's one of the things that I have is like doing something along those lines.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's little goals, like you said, in feats here and there. And, but I think trying to figure out that balance and the routine is good. I think, like you said, I think, making sure that you still eat your 3 meals a day. That's what I struggle with. I'm like, wait, what can I eat? I'm looking around this right now. But I think moving forward, it'll be interesting to see how many people continue to do the teleworking, and it's definitely changed a little bit for me because of everybody else that's teleworking. Things have been easier too. But yeah, I've been able to do some things at night. What I wanted to say too, I lost my train of thought, but the idea that you can do something too after, you have something set for that day, don't feel like you can't do it later that night or just get up. Tomorrow's another day. And I think I get frustrated because I used to overload myself. I used to put so much on my to-do list, and I had to be here for an hour and drive over here. And there was it wasn't physically possible for me to get it all done. So I started actually really pushing things off till the next day, extending my deadlines. And it's okay that you can get it done tomorrow. You need to get up earlier and do it. But, I think that time management comes into play with that too. It's sometimes you got to work a little later or get up early. Yeah,
definitely. So I know you have a meme. We're going to get to that here in a second. I'll let you get prepared for that. But what I want to kind of do, is definitely talk a little bit about, some of the future for Millennial, right? Some of the things that you guys are going to be seeing coming down the pipe. Me and, we definitely love doing the Millennial show. Don't get us wrong, guys. We're not ending it or anything like that, but we definitely want to bring you as much value as we can. And so there's obviously topics that I like to talk about. There's obviously topics that Mel likes to talk about, right? And so we definitely want to give you our perspective on those topics. And so we're definitely, moving forward, we're going to have a couple shows as well where it might just be me, it might just be Mel, talking about things that we like to talk about. And so nothing's written in stone, but we definitely wanted to put that on your radar to be looking for, right? Talking about, things I like to talk about. I love craft beers, right? And Mel loves the stuff that she loves. And so talking about those things. So we definitely want to bring as much value to you guys as we can. So, what was that?
Stay tuned.
Yes.
I can't do that weird eyebrow thing. Like,
I can't, like The Rock.
Yeah.
I just look like people would be like, what's wrong with that kid over there? So I guess without further ado, right? I think is it millennial meme time? You still be the guy.
Millennial meme. All right. I thought this would be a great one for today. I actually have two. So this is my first one here. I've seen a lot of these, so I thought it was actually really great to add something. I didn't look at it all, but I thought it would be hilarious. We could all relate at some point here, working from home, what my friends think I do, what my clients think I do, which is sleep till 9:40 or 10:40. It's just a picture. What the government thinks I do. How can I get a tax write-off for these toys? Shopping. What my mom thinks I do. What I think I do. Chuck Norris. Badass here, right? And then what I really do, which is, with working with the baby and parenting. But I thought that was hilarious. And then I thought a lot of people could relate. But Really, the one that I wanted to share, which I'm going to still do it because I think it's hilarious, is boom. And when you accidentally share the wrong screen, Michael Scott, The Office. So
Yes.
this is, for me, I think it's hilarious because not that I've done it, but I've heard some horror stories and it's a great picture of him. So
You know, it would be a great reunion show for The Office to do The Office telework version, like where they're all working from home.
Parks and Rec did one where they did an episode and they were supposed to be all Grizzle, which is their Google little thing that they have. They actually were FaceTiming, but grizzling, whatever it's called, to each other. But in reality, the actors are really at home by themselves. So it worked out great. But I think The Office should totally do something.
Yes, that would be
Please.
amazing. So, but anyways, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode 5. Right, we're into episode 5 already. We're moving right along.
Watch out! Look out!
Talking about sharing screen.
Don't give Mel the controls over here.
She's Mel's rogue, guys.
That was a good one about don't share your screen. You never know what that picture she's gonna put up there.
Yeah. That was a subliminal message, right? Hey, watch Millennial, right? Watch Millennial.
Oh my God, I click. Everyone that knows me knows I'm clicking away.
But anyways, guys, like I said, we really appreciate your time today. Coming on here, listening to us. Hopefully we're able to bring you some value. Guys, let us know. You know, we're always open to topics, especially because we want to talk about topics that are important to you, that you want us to yell about. Maybe you yell about even yourself. So make sure you're commenting, guys. Make sure that you set your notifications for every Friday, 12 o'clock. We're here yelling about something, right? And make sure you like our page as well. We would love your support there as well. So, but yeah, guys, thank you so much. Mel, do you have anything before we get out of here?
No, I'm good. I gave a little teaser. I must have been psychic because gave a little teaser in my blurb when I shared it on my personal page today. A little hint to this things that we're coming up with. So check it out.
We're masterminding.
Ooh.
Well, anyways, guys, hopefully you have a great weekend. Make lots of memories with your families. Have a good time. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next Friday.
Bye.